wait for my signal, okay? Still faces.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Chat show. I am Asma from the U.S.Embassy, Algiers, and today I am with Sarah from Polycon section to talk about the importance of extracurriculars in the university application. So how are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Super excited to be here to talk with you guys today.
Oh, great. So tell me a bit about how was your week, Sarah? Was it busy?
My week was very busy. Yes, never ending. It's a good thing though. I really like to keep busy, and it's just such an incredible team here at Embassy Algiers. I'm very privileged to be working and interning here.
Okay, great. And so busy weeks needs enjoyable weekend. So do you have any plans for the weekend?
I do. I'm hanging out with some of my friends, both American and Algerian, and gonna get some food and see some final sights before I actually depart for the United States at the beginning of next week. So it's the final hurrah here to say goodbye to Algeria.
Yeah, we're sorry that you're departing us. And I want to ask you, how was it like living in Algeria?
Oh, I loved living here. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad to leave. I really am. I've really enjoyed both the people, the place. I love the weather. I'm definitely a hot weather kind of person, so this is perfect for me. I really cannot say enough great things about living here.
Oh, great. And how did you end up in Algiers?
I ended up here because I'm doing something called the U.S. Foreign Service Internship Program. And so I am working with the U.S. Foreign Service, which is the American Diplomatic Corps. And so I worked with them in D.C. last summer, and then I'm here this summer. And we had to kind of compete for different posts and put forward where we wanted to go. And Algeria was actually my top choice. So I was super excited when I learned that I would be coming here, because they could have sent me anywhere in the world. So I was very grateful that I got what I asked for.
Wonderful. And you are an intern in the political economic section. So I suppose that you studied something related to politics, right? What was your major?
I did. I studied international politics, and I did a double minor in economics and peace and conflict studies.
Mm-hmm. And why did you choose to study international relations?
I chose to study international relations because it's such an interdisciplinary field. So that means that you have a lot of different fields interacting together, and I really enjoyed that. It's also a very adaptable field, which means that it's constantly changing, and I really enjoyed that. To kind of bring it around to a long story, I had a really bad traumatic brain injury my sophomore year of high school, which actually took me out of school. And so before that, I was going STEM. I was going mathematics, hard science. It's what I'm naturally good at. It comes easy. It's really what I like studying. But in the end, having that experience, it really made me reflect on not only what do I like studying, but what do I want to do every day? And I think that's really important, at least for me. That was really important when looking at what I wanted to study in college and what career I wanted to pursue, because what you do every day in a job is very different from what you study sometimes. Yeah. And so I realized that I wanted something that was going to be constantly changing and adapting, something where I would be able to travel and interact with people all over the world, and something that was going to keep pushing me personally, and then pushing through different topics, different ideas, and international relations really is that. And so that's why I got involved in this field, and it has been everything that I've ever dreamed of. And I did take a little bit of calculus in college just for fun.
Okay, so it's a wonderful experience to hear. I would love to ask you what was the motivation behind doing this internship?
I learned about it and I thought, wow, what a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I thought the chance to work with the U.S. Diplomatic Corps would be really unbeatable. And I didn't think that I was going to get it when I applied, to be completely honest. It was very competitive, and it's very hard to be able to represent your country abroad. And I feel very honored to do so. And coming here to work with Algerians has just been a dream. And so a lot of my motivation was thinking about if I wanted to join the U.S. Diplomatic Corps, or if I wanted to pursue other things, because international relations is so multifaceted. You have so many different career opportunities that you can pursue. Diplomacy is one of those, and I wanted to kind of explore whether or not diplomacy was the right choice for me.
I hope you got an answer now.
I have a little bit. I'm still trying to figure it out to a certain extent, but I really loved working here and living here. And so I think that that's a huge part of it, was the lifestyle in addition to the work, because you're constantly moving around to new countries. And so living here in Algeria has been a really great opportunity for me to experience if I like that. And I really did love it. So definitely looking towards that for the future.
Good. And what are the challenges? Because when you live in a different culture, when you live in a lifestyle where you're constantly changing, it's okay, it's a beautiful, and it have its beautiful aspects, but there are certainly certain challenges. So what were the challenges?
That's very true. There are always challenges, I think. For me, it wasn't actually that different because I grew up in California and I went to school in Pennsylvania. So I moved across the United States alone. And so doing that and moving to a very different environment from what I grew up in was already a huge change and shift. So I was kind of used to having to figure out a new place, but that's still an English-speaking country. And so coming here to Algeria, where I speak a little bit of French, I don't speak Arabic or Darja, I'm very sorry. It was a little bit different because you're suddenly surrounded by new language, very different foods. You don't have some of those kind of at least staples or connectors that you have when you move across the United States. But for me, I didn't really think about it as a challenge. I thought about it very much as an opportunity to experience and explore. And so obviously there are moments that are difficult where you're just craving that one food from home, or you're having a difficult time, or you get a little bit of that stomach travel bug, which I think everybody gets occasionally. And so you have those moments that are challenging, but I think those do really make the experience kind of well-rounded, because not everything, no matter what you're doing, even if you're doing your dream job, is going to be easy. If you're living in what you picture right now as your dream experience, your dream life, there will always be challenges. And so I think that understanding those challenges are part of the beauty of the experience is really important when you're moving to a new place. And the food here, the people have all made that really easy. I just adore living here. And so those experiences, going out with my friends, going to the beach, having all of those really fun times has made living in Algeria really worth it.
Beautiful. So today we're here to talk about, of course, the importance of extracurriculars. We both agree that extracurriculars are important for any college or university application, and also for scholarships or exchange programs. So anyone from our audience who want to apply for our exchange programs or scholarships, they have to have at least, one experience in extracurriculars or something. So, but how would you define extracurriculars?
I would define an extracurricular as anything you do outside of your normal study, your normal going to school and going home and doing your homework. I think extracurriculars are so often, at least within the United States, defined narrowly as something done specifically for college. And I think that's a little bit detrimental to students and to the perception of extracurriculars. Extracurriculars can be anything from playing a sport, being part of a club, or working a job. I think that jobs are often taken off of that list as an extracurricular, but that they are very important. They provide as much opportunity for leadership building, for skills building, which are all those things that they really look for, and why American universities or scholarships want extracurriculars is because it builds your skill set. It builds you as a well-rounded person outside of just your education. And so I think narrowly defining extracurriculars is detrimental, and that it can be so many wide variety of things, which is what makes it a little bit difficult, I think, for students to understand what to look for when they start trying to find extracurriculars or start trying to kind of figure out what they want to do and put forward that in a form outside of school.
And I also think about them as any activity that would bring change, either to oneself, or to family, to neighborhood, or to the community.
Yes, definitely, 100%. I think volunteering is a really great opportunity for extracurriculars. Working within your community in any form is always beneficial, both to yourself and the community. And that's looked at really well by scholarships and universities. But I think beyond doing it for that reason, a holistic approach to building yourself as a person is really important for me, at least when I look at what is it that I think helped me get scholarships, helped me get into university. It was not just looking at what is my education and what have I done in a classroom, but what have I done outside of the classroom that makes me a person versus just a piece of paper on a resume.
Yes, true. And it is the one thing that makes you stand out from the crowd. It reveals who you are as a person to any recruiter, to any university, who you really are.
Exactly.
That's something that grades can't reveal about you.
100%. Grades don't tell you anything about your personality, anything about what you value, anything about just what you love doing and what lights you up. And I think those are the really important things that extracurriculars can allow you to show when you are looking at a scholarship, outside of an essay or any sort of personal statement that you have to write. Being able to demonstrate that through activities, even if it's not something you've been doing for a lot of years, even if you're not the best at doing it. If I was doing art and I'm not the best artist in my class, but I put so much time into doing art club and working with others and doing outreach in the community, that demonstrates my love of art. It's not something that you have to necessarily be amazing at. It's just about how are you utilizing your time and your passion to build those skills outside of the classroom.
And I would say, I mean, from personal experience and because of COVID, it became very difficult to be engaged in outdoor activities and stuff. And COVID made many things difficult for us. So one of the things is that we are doing the life in the same room and staying this COVID distant for safety, for the whole team's safety. So COVID changed many things, the way we do many things. So I would ask you, so for young students who are listening to us and wondering, how can we be more engaged? What type of activities that we can do? What can you say to them? Do you have any ideas how to do this, even during COVID?
It's a lot more difficult during COVID, certainly. A lot of things have been shut down. A lot of in-person activities have gone online. Just because it's online, I know it can be a little bit harder to engage. It can be a little bit harder sometimes to focus if it's an online class or an online seminar, but I do think that those are important to maintain throughout COVID because it keeps you engaged in what you love. And I think the most difficult thing with extracurriculars is that there's not one path. There's not one thing that I can recommend people to go do that's going to help them get a scholarship, that's going to help them get into a certain program, because it's really about what lights you up, what is best for you. If that is doing a club as part of school, if that is doing working a job outside of school, sometimes due to financial reasons, you're not able to take time and spend that towards clubs, towards volunteering because you have to work. That's okay. As long as you can say how that work has been able to give you how that work has been able to improve you, why you're doing that, and demonstrate that, I still think that it's really valuable. And so if your passion is mathematics, your extracurriculars are going to look really different than if your passion is English language or is writing. All of these different kind of experiences should be tailored to what you really enjoy doing. If you enjoy mathematics, but you're applying to a language scholarship, that's okay. Just talk about how you're able to apply yourself, why you're doing these things and why you love them, and how some of those experiences have made you more applicable towards learning English language or more applicable to taking that scholarship. Then I think that's going to be really valuable towards that application, is really demonstrating what you've done, why you've done it, and what you love.
True. And maybe back to the work though. So people who are, for example, who have to work part-time in order to finance their education, that's something worth sharing or demonstrating in any application, showing 100%. That I am a responsible person. And despite the fact that I don't have enough money, but I figured out how to find a way to be educated and to do what I am doing right now. So definitely it's not a thing that you should stop you from applying or make you feel, okay, I don't have enough time to do extracurriculars. Part-times in many applications are regarded as extracurriculars, and just show how this experience helped you move on and improve.
100%. I think that it actually is an asset to you, not a default, because it demonstrates, number one, your dedication to your own education, because you are working and doing your education at the same time, which is incredibly difficult to do. And number two, I think when you work a job, it really gives you so much experience in in real life experiences, which I think education doesn't always give you. So if you're working at a grocery store, for example, kind of a basic entry level service job, you're gaining interaction skills and customer service skills. You're gaining skills sometimes with stocking shelves. You're gaining skills working with money or working with organization. So I think there are a lot of those skills that are highly transferable into both an education and into a future job, which are really worth talking about and really worth celebrating, I think. Of course, it's wonderful if you have the financial resources and the time to be able to go and invest in clubs or invest in seminars or doing those other things. But I do think that they both have their own place and that they both should be highlighted together.
Exactly, definitely. I would also ask you, do you think that online opportunities are as valuable and as engaging as in person? I personally sometimes find online, but I'm just skeptical whether that will count if I add it to my CV or my application, or they will be like, oh, that's just online. That's not the same as in person.
I do think that it is slightly different from in person. I think that you get different interactions because when you're in person at a conference, for example, you get to talk with all the other conference members. You get to enjoy that interaction, make those connections. You really get to have a full, well-rounded experience versus when you're online, that's cut off. But everybody's been living with COVID. It's not unique to any one particular person's situation. The entire world has dealt with this. So I think there's nothing more understandable right now than doing an online situation. And I do think that with our current context around COVID, that is 100% understandable. And it demonstrates that through this very difficult time in all of our lives, and when resources have been more scarce, when opportunities have been more scarce, you've still gone out and you've still put time into learning more or improving yourself in some way or into engaging with that issue. And so I think that's incredibly valuable to put that on your CV.
Yeah, true. I also think that, I always say that one should not do anything that you don't enjoy. And it may sometimes be difficult to find an activity that you enjoy and that is in community service or that is an extracurricular activity or something that you can add to your CV. So do you have any steps or any pieces of advice of how young students can find a suitable extracurricular activity?
That's a good question. It's a hard question. I do think part of it is looking at what you love and figuring out what are the things within that you can pull apart into an extracurricular. It's not always as simple as, I love reading books, therefore I'm going to look for a book club. I don't think extracurriculars are always that clear. When they are, that's wonderful, but I think you do have to put a little bit of time into self-reflection onto what is it I really enjoy about this, and what can I kind of extrapolate out to those experiences, and what can I look for that I'm going to enjoy doing, just even if it's not exactly the thing that I love. For example, if you really love video games and you love the art in the video games and the design, maybe you look for an online seminar discussing, video game design aspects, and you look for that. It's not necessarily playing the video games, which might be what you love, but you can still find ways to do that, or you can start looking at how do you code for video games, or how do you do these different things which connect to that passion, which are going to be good experiences or skills for you.
Yeah. So what are the extracurricular activities that you did before and used in your application for this internship, or the skills that you gained from them used in the interview or in the application?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm actually going to take you back a little bit further to when I applied to college, because I think it's important to build the context timeline. When I was in high school, so as a young student looking at it, I didn't really think about what extracurricular do I want to do and how is it going to lead to college. I just looked at what did I want to do. I think that's the first most important step. Don't do it just for a scholarship or an application. Do it because you want to do it, and find something you genuinely would like to do, or at least you think you'd like to do. Sometimes they're not always the same. And so I was really interested in going out for a mock trial team, which is something really weird. The United States does it. I'm not sure if Algeria does.
Yeah. Would you explain what is a mock trial to them? Because I think not everyone is familiar with the term.
Yeah. So what it is basically they create a fake court case, and then they put on a fake trial with real judges, and the students compete as the attorneys and as the witnesses, and you go through a normal American trial and kind of trying out our justice system a little bit. It's really fun because it's public speaking, it's a little bit of acting, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of teamwork. And so there are a lot of really great skills that I didn't even think about that I built there. One of them is being able to just kind of talk on the fly or do public speaking, which I probably wasn't that good at when I first started mock trial. I started mock trial in 8th grade. So when I was 13, 14, I guess. And so I started doing this fairly young, and it's really led to great skills for me later on because it allows me to think on the fly when I'm in like a political discussion in a college classroom. Those skills were built from that experience, but I wasn't thinking about it as that. I was thinking about it as my friends are doing this. This sounds super fun. I'll try out for the team. You know, it seems like an interesting thing to do. And so I ended up really loving it. And so I did that all my last year of middle school and all 4 years of high school. I competed on our team. And it was really great because it wasn't just doing the competition, doing the courtroom exercises. It was also hanging out with my friends, working on our case theory over pizzas. It was all of these extra things which build the team, but they also teach you how to build a team. Because you don't really learn that if you're not working in some sort of team atmosphere. So learning how to build a team, learning how to build team camaraderie outside of the work or while you're doing work, I think was another skill that I learned that I didn't really realize I was learning at the time. I was just having fun. And so that was a big one for me. I also, I was part of different clubs. I did volunteer work, mostly surrounding art. There's this really cool project called Empty Bowls, which is where you make ceramic bowls or any sort of bowls, and then you sell them, partnering generally with restaurants and local communities, and all of the proceeds go to help feeding the homeless or help providing solutions to food insecurity. And so that was something that I did, which was based on my passion for art and my passion for ceramics at the time. And so I really enjoyed throwing on the wheel, which is a way that you make ceramic bowls. And so I was doing that. And one point, my ceramics teacher came up to me and a couple other students and said, hey, you know, what do you guys think about starting an Empty Bowls? So a couple of students and I started setting up this project and working with the local community. And we actually made enough funds to help finish the construction of a new homeless shelter in town. So that helps feed our homeless population and provide them with opportunities so that they can get over being homeless. And so I think that was a really great community experience that also used my passion for art, which I would never have thought about that you can do both at the same time. And so I really enjoyed doing that. Those are a couple things. There are many more, but those are a couple things that I did in high school, which I find really impactful on me today. I think the most important thing is what you really enjoy doing, and then finding a diversity of experiences. If you really like a lot of things, I really liked hanging out with my friends and doing the mock trial, the public speaking, the kind of the politics around it, the debate. I really enjoyed kind of that sense of argument with my friends was really fun. But I also really loved arts, and I really had a passion for helping my community. So those things all kind of came together in these different experiences. And so those definitely helped me kind of get this internship, because I applied to this internship my sophomore year of college, which was, you know, about 3.5, 4 years ago at this point. So it was a very long time coming, because I actually, the internship was canceled due to COVID. And then I had to reapply, and they luckily took all of us who reapplied back into the internship who were still eligible for it after we had our cohort canceled, which was very unfortunate, very disappointing when that got canceled. So this internship has been a long time coming for me, and those high school experiences were still relevant at the beginning of my college experience. I was also working with an NGO at the time, and so I had the chance to live and work in the Gambia and Senegal. And so that experience was really valuable to me, being able to talk about why international work, why international relations was really something that I had skills to pursue and B, really wanted to continue pursuing. And I was able to demonstrate that desire through my interaction in those experiences. And I was able to demonstrate something that we find really valuable here in the American Diplomatic Corps, which is cultural adaptability, which means your ability to go to a new country and live the way that other people live there, and live differently and be okay doing that and really enjoy doing that, which is really important when you're a diplomat. Coming here to Algeria, I've loved all the experiences, but not every person from abroad is going to go to a new country and be okay just suddenly living in an entirely new place with entirely new food, new people, without any of that family or support or familiarity. And so I think that experience really helped me demonstrate that I was ready for this internship.
Yeah, definitely. And there is one thing that I want to highlight also to anyone who's listening to us, especially in high school. So you mentioned, for example, mock trial, you mentioned ceramics. There are these activities in high school, such as theater, music, organizing events and ceremonies, that me as a high school student, I used to think they are not that important, or they are not really going to help me get in a sophisticated university, or get the major that I want, or they are really important and you can learn many skills from them. So if you have a theater club, if you have a music club, if you have a reading club, if they ask sometimes for volunteering, if you want to organize, for example, ceremonies, events, go for them. Don't think that, and the reason why we're doing this, actually, this episode, is that I think from my personal experience, and many people would agree, many Algerians would agree, is that we focus a lot on good grades and marks, which is, when you go to apply for universities, is not what is important. So if you go to apply for a scholarship or an exchange program, what they ask you for is, what did you do for your community? What are the skills that you have that will add to this program, to this university? So don't think that going to a theater club or reading club is not that important as taking extra classes. It is as important if you are thinking about studying abroad or getting a scholarship or an exchange program. It is also important when you're applying for jobs, because, for example, if you help organize an event that will help you, for example, work in teams, learn how to organize things, maybe learn some IT skills. So it is really as important as working hard, as studying. So to all the nerds that I used to be, don't just sit in your libraries and take every extra class that is available. No, go to theater, go to reading clubs, to music. It is as important as good grades.
I have to jump in here and say, my mom has this saying that I grew up hearing that I love. I didn't really understand it as a kid, but now I do. And it's, don't let school get in the way of your education. Yes. Education is so much more than just what you learn in the classroom.
Exactly, yes.
And what you can learn from experiences, what you can learn from theater club is just as valuable as that classroom.
Yes.
It's we think about it as a holistic approach to education in the United States. That's the wording that you'll often see in scholarship applications, is they want to know who you are, not just what you look like on paper. So not just what are your grades, what did you do? They want to know who you are, why. They want to know that you did those other things. Because in the end, those people tend to have more success in the job because they've had those extra experiences.
Yes.
And that they understand a little bit more about themselves, and they've gained some more skills. Mm-hmm. Of course, grades are important. Of course, I loved school as well. I really loved doing that classroom. I was a big nerd also, but I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. You can have both, and I think having both is really valuable.
Yes, true. Yeah, I think my mistake was that I was so isolated. So I was the kind of person who's all the time in the library, taking every extra class, and I spoke literally to no one. So I was like doing all the exercises, doing every homework. And I thought this is the way to get a scholarship. And I spent so much time doing this, and I actually gave up many other things in order to get that. But then I was surprised when I was applying to scholarships and exchange programs. That's not about your good grades, but we need to see your skills, your experience, how do you work in teams? And I didn't have this. So it's a pity when you spend all these years working so hard and you forget about these things. So we're here to tell you that. So please go for it. Do extracurriculars. Yes. I would also say that college applications in the US are complicated and challenging. And I think the shift from high school to university is challenging itself in every country. So how was your experience?
I think it is a challenging shift for a couple of reasons. I think the first one is the workload is so different. At least in the United States, it's a very different way of working. It's a very different kind of structure. At least for me, I went from having, my 8 a.m. to like 3 p.m. classes all set. You know, you kind of get used to your schedule and your routine, and you go to college and there's suddenly different classes at different times, and you have to try and build a schedule, and you're working with advisors, and you have so much more choice, which I really enjoyed that choice, at least for me, in picking classes and in taking different things. But at the same time, it's a huge adjustment to learning how to prioritize your own time and work. And to what you were saying about kind of doing every homework to the 100% max. I think when you're doing extracurriculars and doing those things in high school, it teaches you time management, which I think is really important. I learned something going into college, that with every assignment, I could not give every assignment 100%. You do not have the time to do that, especially if you're doing things outside of class. That could be a club, a sport, a job, or anything else. And so I found it really important, a skill that I had to learn when I went to college. And one of those transition points for me was the fact that I was learning how to balance how much effort do I have to put into this to get a good grade, and how do I balance that out with my other things that I have to do, and knowing that I didn't have to put 100% into every assignment, as bad as that sounds, because of course you want to give your best to everything, but you have to learn what you need to give 110% for, and what you need to give 50% for, to kind of get those grades, to get what you're looking for out of it. And you can still get good grades with giving 50% to some smaller assignments, things that you might find important, the teacher of course finds important, because they wouldn't give it to you if it wasn't. But learning that prioritization is really a valuable skill.
True. That's something I also learned when I went to university, which is sometimes good grades are not the priority. If, for example, when you're at university, you should change your priorities. So if taking this extra class, or doing this extra activity, or doing a part-time job, or participating in that event will help you get where you want to be, grades are good to pass, but you should not focus on them to the extent that you forget your destination, your goal, because your goal should not be good grades. So you should find this kind of balance, and that's something that, for example, changed from me from high school to university.
Of course, I think good grades, extracurriculars, all of these things have their own importance and their own value. But I do think that we often stress so much about, am I doing good enough? Am I working hard enough? Did I do well enough in this class? And that everything's going to be ruined if you don't.
Yes.
I think that's a very easy mentality to get in, especially after COVID. We've all been so focused on kind of getting back to normal life. And so I think we've latched on to those things that we can hold on to, which are tangible, which are grades, those extracurriculars, whatever it is for you. And so I think understanding that it's okay to take a deep breath. It's okay to find balance in what you're doing, and that you don't always have to be perfect at everything you're doing.
Yes.
Even with extracurriculars, you don't have to be perfect at school, perfect with your extracurriculars. You just have to do your best, and your best is different every single day. And I'd also like to say, for a lot of people, when you're doing extracurriculars or a scholarship or a university application, it can be really scary. You can look at it and be really overwhelmed and think, oh, well, I haven't done enough extracurriculars. I actually can't apply to this. I'm not going to get it, so it's not worth doing. The worst thing anyone will ever tell you is no. That is the worst that's going to happen. It's not like you're going to apply to a program and they're going to say, oh, well, now you can never do another program again. That's not how it works.
Yes.
So putting yourself out there, taking that time to be like, it's okay. I don't have to be perfect. I'm still going to put myself out there. I'm still going to try. I'm still good enough to try for this application. If you don't get it, that's all right.
Yes.
Every no is one step closer to a yes.
Yes, true.
And so all of these things can be so overwhelming. I'm sure for students who have been working really hard in school and who haven't done a lot of extracurriculars, you're all very overwhelmed right now with what we're saying.
Yes.
It's okay. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can take your time and put yourself out there. Go for that application that you didn't think you were going to get. I did not think I was going to get this internship program. I really didn't. It was a very difficult internship to get, and I'm very grateful that I did. And I've had the chance to work with amazing people from all different backgrounds. But for your guys' context, there are people from STEM backgrounds in my program. We have people who were doing, economics or information sciences, mathematics, in addition to like myself, who was doing international relations. So I think understanding that there's not necessarily one path to that future, and that if you don't take what you consider to be the next step in that future, it's okay. There's not one path. You don't always have to do everything to get to your future. You can do things just for the sake of doing them. You can do things because you enjoy them. That's all right. At the same time, sometimes you have to do things because it's going to get you to that goal. You have to go to school if you want to go to university. You have to do good in high school. You have to put time into school if you want to go to university. But at the same time, you can find those things you really enjoy doing and do them just for the sake of doing them because you want to. Not necessarily everything has to be to get to that next goal or to push you forward. Finding that balance is also really important for kind of, I guess, staying mentally sane through this very difficult, crazy process where there's so much pressure put on students today.
Yeah, it's true. And it's okay if you don't know, you still don't know what you want. Maybe many people who got their baccalaureate now, it's okay if you don't know what you want to study or what you want as a career. Doing many things and trying different things will help you find what you want to do. So you should just try everything and don't think I'm not good enough for it. When I started studying English, I didn't know what I want. And I ended up in this internship. So it's fine if you don't know. If it's fine, and you should always apply and keep applying. Don't think, I mean, from my experience, when I applied to this internship, I didn't have the full documents for this. And my school, I needed a document from my school, and they said, we're not giving this to you. We don't issue such documents. I applied to the internship and I told them, look, here are the documents that I got, and I don't have this document yet. And I was applying and I knew, like, because in the description was like, if you don't find all the documents, we don't accept you. I applied and I told them, look, I have the other documents, but not this one. Yeah. And I came to the interview and I don't have a document. And I was like, they will not accept me without that document. So don't say, okay, I don't have the document. My university said, we're not going to issue this document for you. Just try. And I ended up getting the document and getting this internship. So never think, oh, maybe I don't have my certificate from this or that institute. I don't have this or that. Just go for it and try and do your best. And sometimes explaining to people that you're applying to the situation can help. So just go for it, try everything you can, and do never think I'm not perfect for this. No one is perfect, and no one applied for things thought they are perfect. So I think
that's a really great example and a really great experience. Yes. That would have been so stressful. I'm so glad that they were understanding and that you applied anyway.
Yes, I'm so glad that people were understanding when I applied. So they were like, okay, we're go for the test. And then if you get the test, we will ask for document. I got the test and no document. They said, okay, the interview, and after the interview, we need the document. And after that, when I went back to my university and I was like, listen, I got the chance. I got accepted. You can't stop me from doing this. And they gave me the document and I was so happy. So go for it. If you don't have documents, apply and do not
obviously try and get the document if you can. Don't just be like, I'm not even gonna bother. Of course, try and get the document.
I tried so hard for the document, but keep going for it.
but I do think in the end we're all human and we understand that everyone else is human also.
Yes.
You know, the people who are interviewing you, who are looking at your application for whatever it is you're applying for, they were in your shoes.
Yes, true.
Probably not that long ago. They understand, they were there. They know what it's like. They're
True.
human, they're going to understand. So explaining that situation will get you, just like Asma did, through the process.
And just be honest when you're applying or doing anything, just be honest and transparent about everything. And just keep trying. And don't expect things are going to be easy. Don't expect that people are going to hire you or recruit you or give you this opportunity just because who you are. Just have to, you have to show that you're competent for this. And so, my next question will be about finding a balance between extracurriculars and doing university, because it can be sometimes tiring or exhausting.
It can be. It's really hard to find that balance when you're trying, especially if you're going to a university outside of the town that you grew up in and you don't know anyone going there. I moved all the way across the United States to a whole new place where I didn't know anybody. And so I was suddenly in a new town, in a new part of the country where I didn't really understand a lot of the culture there, because despite the United States being the US, there are many different kind of microcultures, and you learn and you get those different communities in different places. So I was suddenly in a very new community without any of my kind of social or family support. And I had to try and make new friends, and I'm starting university and I'm trying to get involved in things, because in the end, when you're involved in things, that really helps build a community around you. Being involved in whether it's a club or a job, you suddenly have a forced upon you family, whether you like it or not. I have been very lucky to where I have loved the different kind of communities and families that I've found. But I think finding that balance between participating in whatever you are doing outside of school, hanging out with friends, doing your coursework, doing classes is really difficult. And everybody's going to find a slightly different way of balancing that. For me, my freshman year, I found there was a coffee shop about a 25-minute walk from campus. And so I didn't have classes like Thursday mornings, I think. And so I would walk down to that coffee shop super early in the morning, be there when they opened, get a cup of coffee and sit there and do homework for a couple hours. And then one of my friends would come down about 2 hours into me being there and get a cup of coffee, and we'd work for about an hour together, and then we'd walk back up to campus together. So that was a way in which I could get work done, get off campus, and kind of find that balance for myself of being in a different space, not always being in my room studying or in the library, getting a little bit of that fun kind of involved in the community, while at the same time I was doing work. And then I was able to take that 25-minute walk back to campus to hang out with my friend. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I was very busy. I took a lot of courses and I was doing a lot outside of that. But I do think finding those little moments of balance and finding that way to really figure out what's important for you to stay mentally insane. To stay mentally insane, Jesus. To stay mentally sane. And kind of what do you need? For me, a lot of that, I need to work out. If I don't get some sort of physical activity or exercise basically every day, I have a really hard time sitting and doing work, on a computer, doing homework or doing physical work now that I work here at the embassy. And so finding some time, even if it's just, 20, 30 minutes to like work out or to do something physical, a hike with friends, a walk, a full workout, go swimming, something is really important for me. Mm-hmm. But what everybody needs is going to be slightly different. Mm-hmm. And what you really enjoy is going to be slightly different. I really enjoyed getting coffee with friends. So I found a way to do that and work that into my schedule and work that in with schoolwork, which was really important because I was taking a lot of classes. Mm-hmm. But it really is figuring out what do I need and how am I going to make it all work together. Mm-hmm.
True. So one of our viewers have a question for you, Sarah, and that is how can he improve his American accent? So do you have any tips?
I don't know. I'm very lucky. This American accent was naturally very I had to work very hard for it, I promise. Around all these Algerian friends, and my American accent is slowly getting worse. I have to think about it now. No, I think probably watching American media, news, movies, listening to music. Mm-hmm. When I was learning French, trying to get my French accent down, I listened to a lot of French music. I started watching, some of my favorite TV shows. Instead of watching in English when an episode would come out, I turned on English subtitles and watched it in French, which really helped not only my language learning with listening to it, but it helped me understand kind of how speaking and how that accent sounds. And so that was really good practice. But in the end, to get a really great accent, I do think it takes some time being around people who speak that language. So whether it's just speaking with your friends who are Algerian who also speak English, I think that's going to be really helpful to kind of practice that. And if you get a chance to, do one of the programs that the embassy funds where you're doing a study abroad in the United States, that will really definitely help. So I think that there are kind of many different ways you can go about it. There's not a singular right way to get an English accent down. And I will say I have an American accent, not an English accent. I think I misspoke there.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for your time and for being with us today. It was wonderful to have you, and I'm sure that everyone learned so many things today. Thank you so much. I would say for our viewers, make sure that you're following our pages to hear more about our episodes. We will have more episodes for next Wednesday, inshallah. So be with us, inshallah.